Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Monday, September 4th of 2023. I appreciate you all joining me in this video. Hopefully, you guys had a wonderful weekend, and if you're here in the States, it's Labor Day, so hopefully you have like a nice extended weekend with your loved ones and your family. I had a really good weekend. Saturday. I went to a party at my dad's place because it was him and I guess it would be my stepmother, right? It was their anniversary, which actually happens to fall on his birthday as well. So, I think the anniversary technically was yesterday, but in any event, it fell around the same time. So it was like we dressed up and did all that sort of stuff, and they had like it was like 14 or 15 other couples there. It was like a formal thing, but it was actually really cool. There was live music. There was good food. Of course, it's always going to be good food because my dad's an amazing cook and she's a really good cook as well. So that was fun. I think it's interesting how that happened literally on the last full day of Venus retrograde in Leo, and it was like a celebration of love. So I thought that was pretty cool. They didn't do that intentionally like that, but subconsciously, I know that that's just kind of where things were heading. So I thought that was pretty cool to do like a celebration of love on the last day of Venus retrograde in Leo and celebrating couples and partnerships that have survived the tests, survived this test of Venus retrograde in Leo, because it most certainly was a test, right? And then yesterday was pretty cool for me too. We just kind of chilled and didn't do too much. Went to eat with the in-laws and then picked up a few things from the grocery store, and then we just kind of me and my wife just went home and kind of just chilled. We watched Pokemon the first movie, which is fantastic. Watching that again, haven't seen it in a while, and I actually saw that in theaters when it first came out. So and then we watched Cocaine Bear, and that was fantastic as well. I don't normally like movies that have like a lot of like blood and gore and dismembered body parts and stuff, because it kind of makes me a little queasy. But honestly, that movie was hilarious. So, if there's usually like a funny spin on things, then I actually don't mind it, stuff like that. So we watched those two movies yesterday, just kind of chilled out and did our thing. So I had a good weekend, and I'm off today and I'm off tomorrow. So. Anyways, y'all didn't come to this to hear me talk about my weekend. Y'all came here for the astrology, but hopefully you guys had a wonderful weekend as well. Well, guys, Venus is station direct, but it's going to be here for a while. It's going to be at 12 degrees for a good bit. So we start off the day with the moon in square to Venus. Of course, by the time that you guys watch this, the moon will come off of this 12th degree. And also by the time that you guys watch this, Jupiter will probably be station retrograde. So at 15 degrees, this is happening while it is making a trine over to Mercury. So I think it's interesting how the messenger of the gods and then like the king of the gods will be in trine, and they're both going to be retrograde. Now, what's funny about this is that Mercury, of course, here in Virgo, in its home sign, outside of course Gemini, but in its home sign. So it definitely has a lot of power and a lot of strength here, especially with the sun here that's giving it and feeding it even more power. And it's interesting too, because you have Jupiter over here that's going to start to deflate a little bit. Jupiter, like I said, Jupiter is a bit of a party animal. And now that Jupiter is going to be in retrograde, you're going to start to feel the energy a little, like kind of deflate a little bit. So like, as far as like the expansion aspect to this, there's not really much more that's going to be expanded when it comes to the Taurus energy, physical reality, money, finances, stuff like that. And not really much is going to be inflating at this point. If anything, we might go through a deflationary period, right? Jupiter also, if you think of it as like a party animal, right? This means that there's no more invitations that are going out. So all the invitations to really recognize your true worth and your true value have gone out until Jupiter comes forward. Now everything's going to be turned more inward. So this is like the only way that you're really going to start to manifest and manifest things like physically is whether or not you really do get into like your own heart and really start to believe in your own self. But it comes from inward. It's not going to come from the outside. It's not going to be someone that has the vision to recognize your value anymore, because you remember Jupiter is like a very visionary kind of quality, and Jupiter's it's the centaur, so it has targets, right? It's the arrow, it has a target. So the only way that you're really going to start to get recognized for your true worth and your true value is if you recognize it. It's not going to be coming from the external anymore while Jupiter is in retrograde, which is going to feel very awkward for some people. Now, especially if you are more introverted, and you sort of need people to kind of tell you your worth and your value, and it's not necessarily all introverted people. I wouldn't say that's necessarily an introverted quality. I would say more so if you lack self-confidence, right? Because you can be extroverted and still lack self-confidence. It can be sort of like a fake it till you make it kind of deal, especially with Mars and Libra. But if you lack self-confidence, then this is going to be a tough time for you, because now you have to rely on your own self-confidence to really see your value, because Jupiter's not going to have a target, right? This is not going to be something that comes from the outside. So you have to really kind of dig deep. You know what I mean? Taurus is the earth, right? It's physical earth. So this is like, the trees only has expanded so far. Now we're going to get into like the root system, right? Get down to brass tacks. And especially with the moon here that is exalted in Taurus, it likes to be here. At least we have the moon here with Jupiter. But I think it's interesting that, of course, the messenger of the gods, Hermes, the messenger of the gods, and Zeus, they I don't know if they per se necessarily get along, because they do represent opposite sides of the zodiac. Jupiter rules Sag and Mercury rules Gemini, but they do communicate a lot. And as far as like oppositions go, they probably get along the best, because they really can kind of like build off of each other and float off of each other in many ways, But I think it's interesting how Jupiter is probably going to be wanting this communication from Mercury. It's like, hey, so I just went retrograde. The party's ending a lot earlier than I thought. Not as many people came to the party as I thought. Like, what do I do here? Do you have any messages for me? Mercury's like, dude, I'm retrograde as well. And honestly, I can't really see you too much right now because I got the sun here, right? And the sun's light is kind of like, I can't even really see you right now. I know Jupiter, I know you're trying to be a sun. You gotta remember, Jupiter is the planet that's closest to becoming like a sun, but Mercury is actually with the sun. Actually with the sun. You got the moon, Jupiter, all right? You got the moon. You get the reflection, the fucking light. So things are going to, even though this moon in Taurus is a positive thing, which will help us feel grounded, it can feel very deflating if you lack self-worth and lack self-confidence. And then with Uranus here, it's always going to throw some weird shit into the mix. Maybe this could be, trying to find yourself amongst a group of people and maybe feeling like you don't stick out. Or this could be a period where, especially with all this energy in Virgo, this definitely can be like some hermit kind of moments here, where it's like you almost just want to just kind of blend in to the crowd. And maybe by blending in, you don't necessarily have to engage the self-confidence and the self-worth, because no one really notices you. But then the moment that someone notices you and puts you on the spot, it's kind of, what happens then. And I think it's funny too, if you look at the glyph of the sun, it does look like a target. But this glyph actually is it's actually pretty esoteric. The sun in this particular glyph is the actual dot itself. The ring right here is the rotation of planets around the sun. And particularly, this is Pluto, because it's the outermost planet. Even though they've demoted it to a dwarf planet, but that's what it is. So that's kind of goes down to that energy, right? Something that's the esoteric aspect, like I said. Planets revolving around the sun. The sun's the actual dot, but it is a target. in many ways, right? So the target, the bullseye, is to become like the sun, right? And Jupiter wants to become the sun. That's why he is the king of the gods, because that's the closest that Jupiter could get. And now with Mercury over here, like I said, enshrined to it, and it's at 16 degrees, mind you, so 1 plus 5 is 6, which comes down to Venus. Venus did just come out of its retrograde in Leo. So there's definitely going to be this element here where it's like, okay, well, especially with Venus being in the deck and ruled by Jupiter, there's definitely going to be this sort of thing where it's like, well, we've made it through that 40 days and 40 nights, right? And maybe we're feeling a little bit more confident that we can move forward and actually have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like for the remainder of this summer, like we could finally feel like we're actually having some fun. This summer was definitely not a hot girl summer, a hot boy summer. It definitely felt a little bit, stagnant. Definitely was just, it just didn't have the same umph, right? My thing is interesting. Like I said, Venus is going to be at this degree for a while. Okay, so like I'm going to show you guys here in a second. All right, so let's move it forward to when, of course, the moon is going to meet up at 15 degrees with these energies too. So we get this harmonic of 15 around 128, right? 1 plus 5, 1 plus 5, 1 plus 5, 6, which is Venus, right? So this is definitely going to be one of these moments here where it's like, man, you're going to feel the deflation happen. You're going to feel it's like, oh, wow, okay, this thing isn't really expanding anymore. But just because it's not expanding externally doesn't mean that it's not expanding internally. It'll probably take on more of like a Scorpio kind of quality, right? It's going to be a little bit more internal. Oof. Right? And not everyone wants that. Not everyone likes to be that introspective. That's the thing about this too, because if Jupiter has like a target, like an external target, now it's turned within. So now we're going to be looking for the inner targets. And a lot of people don't want to be that introspective. The moon's going to help us here to at least feel grounded in this. But now the targets are going to be more inward. So the clues, the hints, whatever it is that you're wanting, you know what I'm saying? Like the targets, the epiphanies, because I think Jupiter rules in epiphanies, they're going to be more internal. And now you got to go within yourself and you actually have to be introspective. And some people don't like being introspective because there's some dark corners within ourselves and we don't necessarily like going to those places. Positive thing here is that with Mercury so close to the sun and they're trining this energy, it gives us this opportunity to really light these areas up and to really see that it's not as scary as we think it is. Quite literally, with Mercury being thoughts and the sun like lighting these things up, it's not as scary as we think it is. It'll only be scary if you don't allow yourself to go through a mental shift. But if you're so stuck, remember Taurus is fixed earth, if you're so stuck on it looking a certain way, on the party being a certain way, like the waiters have to be wearing a certain thing, like food has to be a certain way, the music has to be played a certain way, if you're so worried about that, then you're not going to have a good time. We're going to start exploring the inner world now. You think about Jupiter is an explorer, right? It rules travel and foreign locations. And Taurus is physical Earth. The Earth rules Taurus. So when it's turned inward, this is about exploring the inner world. We've gone as far as we could with Jupiter and Taurus direct, as far as exploring the outer terrain, if you will. Now we have to go within. And you'll realize that there are entire cities and continents and places within you that could be at war, right? Or aren't necessarily doing as well as you thought. But this is, like I said, this is about uncovering the inner world. So even though these energies are in retrograde, the trine is still, especially with the sun here, the trine is letting us know and really shining that light that, hey, it's probably not as bad as you think it is. It may look a little crazy because you've been maybe neglecting these inner spaces and these inner worlds, but or your imagination, you know, because we all have our own nation, if you will. We imagine it. Y'all think it's not real, but it absolutely is real. So, but I want to show you guys the whole thing with the Venus at 12 degrees. How it's going to be at this degree for a while. Let's just look at how long. Okay. It entered the 12th degree on August 29th, right? All right. Let's look at how long it's going to be at this degree. Bam. It's going to be there until September 9th. That's a long time to be at 1 degree. It's a long time to be at 1 degree. And by that time, the sun and Mercury would have swapped. The moon will be in Cancer, getting ready to oppose Pluto. So, I mean, August 29th, that's what, 29, 30, 31. So that's what, 12 days? Almost 2 weeks at the same degree. So even though it's direct, it's not moving very fast, and it's going to be stuck at this degree for a while. 1 plus 2 is 3, which 3 comes back to what? Jupiter energy. So there's ironically some harmonic kind of energy here with there's some mutual reception here, kind of, with Venus being in the decan ruled by Jupiter, and at a degree that Jupiter likes to be at. 1 plus 2 is 3. And then, of course, Jupiter here being in Taurus, which Venus rules traditionally. So there's definitely this element here to where, like, even though we're about to get this click where it's like, okay, we are so close to 7 planets having been retrograde, which is insane. We are so close to it. So we get this reprieve, and then it goes right back. It goes right back. Right? So hold on, let me take this back down to hours. Right? It goes right back within 13 hours, right? To 6 planets retrograde. Now that things are going to be turned inward, how do we get to this moment? Well, we got to remain, steadfast, ground ourselves with this moon in Taurus, right? It's not as crazy as we think it is. But even though Venus has stopped, at least she's at least she's direct now. Can you have fun through this? Do you know how to have fun through this? Leo rules fun, right? Not that the other signs can't have fun, but Leo rules fun, right? Creativity, expression, joy in many ways. And now that Venus is going forward, can you even receive fun with the planet of, and it's kind of interesting that the planet, like Jupiter does like to have fun, right? It's a party animal, right? But like now that Jupiter's retrograde and offline, now we got to find fun in different ways, right? So the only planets that you're going to be having that are moving forward are going to be the personal planets, except with the exception of Mercury, right? Mars and Venus are the only planets that will be moving forward. We don't count the sun and we don't count the moon. They're the only ones that are moving forward. Mars, of course, moving at its full speed, and it's in Libra, which it doesn't like to be in, so it doesn't really have a lot of power right now. It's the only place where we may feel some power, but it feels deflating in many ways. And then a Venus that's going to be stuck at 12 degrees for the next 5 days still. It's going to take a while for Venus to get going, but at least this is sort of like she's ready to finally go out again, but it's going to take her forever to get ready. You thought it took long for your dude or your girl to get ready. Now it's going to take them even longer to get ready. Because like, yo, I just went through 40 days and 40 nights of hell. I'm finally feeling myself. If I'm finally feeling myself, let me put my best self out there. And like this is like when you like this is going to be like being in the mirror for a long time, right? It's going to take a while to get ready, right? You're going to have to start getting ready really early because if you don't, you're going to be late. That's the thing about this, right? And you probably will still be late in many ways, right? So that's the thing about this. It's interesting how we have, of course, the traditionally masculine planet that's moving forward, the traditionally feminine planet that's moving forward, right? This is the sign, and this is funny too because this is like this glyph right here of Mars that represents male, and then this represents female. They're the only ones that are moving forward, right? Everything else is retrograde. Yeah, Mercury that's between them with the sun, which is nice. Mercury is a bit more of a hermaphroditic kind of energy. It doesn't really it's both male and female. It's more hermaphroditic. I know the planets that traditionally that's the funny thing. Yeah, it rules Gemini, which is masculine, and rules Virgo, which is feminine, right? So it's like it's more hermaphroditic, and it's splitting the difference between these two energies in many ways, right? Not exact, but it's close. It's close to that midpoint of Venus and Mars, and it's with the sun. So that's why this is definitely going to be a moment here where it's like you don't necessarily want to go far in one direction or far in the other direction, right? Where you're trying to just take some sort of action just to feel good, especially if it means trying to make your partner feel good too, right? If you go like so far, but then you still neglect, you know, what's truly going to be best for all parties involved, you know, you're going way too far and putting way too many coins on one side of the scale, right? Or not even recognizing that the scale is imbalanced and you're trying to balance things out instead of addressing why it's imbalanced in the first place. And then a Venus and Leo, how long are you going to take in the mirror? You're going to take so long in the mirror that you just don't go out. Like by the time you're finally finished, you know, combing your hair, putting your makeup on, if you're a dude, like skincare routines and all that sort of stuff, everything. Make sure that you have the right outfit. Venus finally going direct in Leo, but being stuck at this degree for the better part of 2 weeks is like putting on different outfits and feeling like none of them work out. You know, you got to split the difference. Sun with Mercury and Virgo. How are you recalibrating your thoughts to manifest a life that is full of joy and happiness and love and creativity and passion and joy? Are you being a little overly critical right now? Because you don't want to, that's the other thing. You don't want to be overly critical right now. But the sun here with Mercury is helping to kind of burn away a lot of the stagnant thoughts. You know, remember, this is mutable Earth with Venus, with Mercury here. So any type of stagnant thoughts are about to be burned away. Hopefully, they'll be burned away. But there's an element here where we can still be very, very stubborn on it looking a certain way with the trine over to Jupiter. And we want to just be careful that we don't just get so stuck on it looking a certain way and that we have to think this way because it's the way we've always thought. Well, are there any areas in your life that need improvement? And more than likely they are. But this is not a time to be okay with the mediocrity if you feel the mediocrity of it. This is a time to go for it. This is a time to see how truly valuable you are and what you bring to the table, and expressing that wholeheartedly, regardless of what other people may think or feel, especially if it means that you are uplifting the vibration of this planet and other people around you. 'Cause that's really what this comes down to, right? To be, you know, you don't want to be so self-centered that you ostracize yourself from other people, but at the same time, you don't want to be so selfless that you can't even find yourself amongst a group of people, and you outsource your own creativity and you outsource your own self to the whims of other people, and then you just kind of jerked around and stuff like that. Got to find that happy medium. All right, so it's going to be an intense day, just because you're going to feel that Jupiter turning off, especially with the being in Taurus physical Earth. It's going to be interesting, right? um this is the kind of energy to a, I don't know, I'm hearing like volcanoes, but I don't know if it's necessarily like an eruption. Maybe it could be like a volcano that's been active that goes dormant. You know what I mean? It could have the opposite effect because Uranus is there, but Uranus is also retrograde too. So this could be like a volcano that just stops. That doesn't stop, it just seemingly just stops from our point of view. Like maybe it's been erupting for a while and then it's just like, nah, good. Let's let the lava cool. Let's let the lava cool. Let's let nature take its course and see what comes up, what grows in that area. So in many ways, it's like it's going to give a chance for fertilization too. Jupiter retrograde here. A chance for fertilization, a chance to allow things to kind of settle and to take root so they can really grow and evolve. So let's go into the cards for today. Let's see what we got. Oh, I got two cards. I ended up drawing two cards. So yeah, we have the card of guidance. Which I want to say this is the Three of Pentacles in this deck, but we have the card of guidance. It's interesting too, right? You have this chick back here who's just kind of seeing like the gloom and doom, and then you have like the angel or her guardian angel right there that's trying to like, yo, look how beautiful it is over here. And she's just like, nah, man, I ain't trying to see that. I ain't trying to see that. Then we have the card of ordinariness. So this is, I think, we have to adjust the way that we look at our life. We may look at our life as ordinary, but can you find the beauty in the ordinary? Or are you looking at it as like, oh, this sucks? I don't know. I wish there was more fun here. That's the thing. Jupiter's going retrograde, right? So we gotta find like the excitement in the day to day, in the ordinary, right? We don't want to get so caught up in looking at the doom and gloom of shit that we don't even see the guidance around us, and that our guardian angels will be like, hey, yo, look how beautiful that sunset over there is. Why are you looking over there? Look how beautiful. Like, you know, she's looking at the dark. The angel's looking towards the light. And it's funny too, because this angel right here is probably her higher self. It's probably actually her. It's like, so yeah, don't get so caught up where you're just looking at the doom and gloom of things that you don't even get to see the beautiful sunset. And we may see that as like, oh, the sun sets every single day. It's ordinary, it's regular. I've seen some beautiful ass sunsets in my life. But if you're so caught up and just thinking that it's just super ordinary, then you will miss the beauty of life, man. So many people they'll miss the beauty of life. They don't look up at the stars. They don't look up at the moon. They don't look at the sunset. They just take it all for granted. But when you look at them, it's like it's gorgeous. It's amazing. It's beautiful. So it's like every single day, it's like even though these things are ordinary, you may take them for granted and stuff like that. But there's a lot of beauty in that. And the universe is guiding us to show us like, hey, pay attention to those details. Pay attention. You'd be surprised. Like, take it for granted, but pay attention. Look, and then it's in those moments too where spirit really speaks to you. I will never forget one of the particular sunset that I saw when I was in Colorado. I ended up taking a picture of it. I will never forget this sunset because I felt like I was looking into the eye of God. And that was my experience with it. Someone else in the world, someone else in Colorado, someone else within a mile of me. Might have saw that same sunset, maybe saw it from a different perspective, a different angle, and didn't have that experience. And I was like, oh, sunsetting. I gotta go home. Whereas I was like, wow, I am looking at God right now. That's the way I felt. So it's also about altering our perspective on things too. You know, you can look at something and just kind of take it for granted and not realizing that you are looking at God. You are looking at your higher self. Rainbow blessings. Blessings are showering your life. Come on now. Come on with the come on. Come on with the come on. Do I really need to say anything else with this card? It says it already. Blessings are showering your life. But Jay, it looks so ordinary. Yeah. That's okay. There are blessings there. Come on now. Are you going to open your heart to the beauty that's all around you? Or are you going to close yourself off? Because it doesn't look the way that you want it to look. No, it looks the way that it needs to look. It looks the way that is going to wake your ass up, right? So long as you open up your heart, clear your mind of anything that's of any stuck residue and shit, the sun's helping out with that. It's going to feel a little weird. It's going to feel very weird. Some people are going to be feeling very, very edgy, but we're being called to slow down in many, we're moving kind of fast, but we're kind of slowing down with all these planets retrograde. We're being asked to slow down for a reason. It's to see that, no, hold on, wait a minute. There's a lot of beauty here. There's a lot of beauty in humanity. We're nowhere near done. We're nowhere near apexed. We're nowhere near apex to our capabilities and possibilities of what we can create on this earth. We just think that we have. But we have much to learn and we have further to go. And we are all so much more capable than we give ourselves credit for. That is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you'd like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And I know it's September 4th. I do need to make the tarot report for the 12 signs, which will probably be tonight or tomorrow. I'm not quite sure which night I'm going to do it. Just really kind of depends because, like I said, I'm kind of just been hanging out with my wife this whole weekend. So, and that's like a 3-hour long video. So it may be tonight, maybe tomorrow night. We'll see. But in any event, I'll give you guys like a little heads up when I know exactly that's going to be. But y'all take care, stay blessed, enjoy this beautiful day. I know it seems a little crazy right now, but don't lose your head. It's all right. We're going to get through this, and you are so much more powerful than you give yourself credit for. Take care. Stay blessed. I'll see you on the next video. Peace. Deuces.